Hey everybody, and welcome to Relief Printing. So for the printmaking process, what we're going to use are these water-soluble block printing inks, and there are different colors and tubes and things, but we're going to use black and white for this example. So the process really is pretty simple and straightforward and yields some pretty awesome results if you take your time. So the first thing you're going to need to do is get some ink. Get yourself a popsicle stick, and because we're going to put the ink on our bench hook, which is this object. So you need this bench hook to roll out your ink, and you'll need a brayer, of course. So brayer is our fancy art roller, and then after you have all that set up, you will need your surface and you'll need your block. So I'm using this pink eraser block. So I've already done one print on this, so you can notice that some areas, the areas that are a little bit darker are going to print with the color of the ink. And some of my little areas inside here actually filled in because the ink was too thick. So you've got to play around and kind of see what happens, and then whether you need to go back in with your tool and carve anything out after you make your first print. So I have my first print right here. So for what I'm going to do now is I take, not a lot, just a little bit of this, like a toothpaste size amount, so not much. That's probably even too much. And I'm going to take this and then put it onto my bench hook or surface, and then I'm going to take my brayer. I'm going to roll this out until it's a nice flat, like a rubber. I don't know if you ever use like a stamp pad, So I want it nice and flat. You can see how it's not goopy. It's nice and rolled out flat. If it's not flat at this point, you used way too much ink. So I'm going to take my brayer then, and I'm just going to roll this across my block, and you'll notice then that all the areas that are going to print the color are becoming black, right? So, and you'll just have to play around with heat, and maybe this one won't be perfect, and I'll need to add more. I'm just going to layer my ink on, and then I'm just going to take this and I'm going to my surface and smush it down. Now you can use what's called a Baren, especially when we get to a bigger linoleum block that might look something like this that a student made. And a Baren is a tool. It's a flattening tool, and I could use really anything as a Baren. So I could use this and push it down smoothly. With this small block, my hands will work just fine. So then I just peel this off, and you can tell this one's quite a bit lighter. Now it's lighter because there wasn't a lot of ink. So that's ghosting. And what's kind of cool is I can do another one, and there's another ghosting. So I have this kind of like value scale going. So to troubleshoot that, then I'm just going to need to add a little more ink on here and get some more ink on. What happened actually is I had the ink on there, and it had been sitting for a little bit, and it's just like paint. It'll dry, right? So I'm going to roll out some more ink here to do another print. Just fixing my camera a bit. So I'm going to do another print, just rolling out some ink. And then I'm going to roll this onto my block. Now I could just go to the sink and have washed that off. It's water-soluble ink, so I can wash it off back in the sink back there and start again. But I'm just going to stick with what I got for now. So I'm going to hope that I have it nice and covered. Then I'm going to put it onto my paper, smush it down, and I have a much richer print, right? So that's really fun and cool. So we can do that. Then after you have, and then you can do like the whole ghosting thing again and make a couple more and have it fade as it goes down. Kind of cool, like repeated patterns, right? So we're going to end up making, with this one, we're going to make some trading cards. So little cards that'll have a series of like 3 prints on them. A second quality that I really want you to try is printing in layers, because when we make a bigger project, which we're going to do, you're going to print in layers. So I'm going to pause this real quick and wash my block off. Okay, so I rinsed that off, and I didn't get all of it out. I mean, it could take a little more time to get some of that ink out of there. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the other side that has this text on it, and I'm just going to take black. And now I kind of want to make sure I might need to get more ink here because this stuff is drying on me. But I'm going to cover this in black because I'm going to make a solid rectangle that I'm going to then get some white and print on top of the black. And that'll create some really awesome contrast for my print. Oop. And no, you may be tempted to just plop this inside here, but that does not work well because you do not get good coverage. And my ink is a little bit dry, so I'm just going to grab a teeny bit more. Alright, make sure this thing's good and covered. You can kind of tell when it's like, it has like a little shine to it when you get enough ink on here, but don't make sure it's not goopy. It's really important. So now I'm going to push down, smash on here. So I'm just going to get this black rectangle. Oop, like that. That means my ink wasn't totally cleanly on there. And also what happened is I just washed this off, so it's a little wet actually. Alright, I'm going to cover this a little better now. I can see that. It's getting more ink on it. Make another one. Cool thing about printmaking is you can do it like over and over and over, and even if you make a mistake, your drawing is carved into a block, right? So you don't really have to worry. That's pretty good. You don't have to worry about the fact that like you spend a lot of time on it because the printing part is pretty fast. So I made this little black mark, and I could certainly make it better if I add more ink and stuff, but I'm cool with that. I like the little variations. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get white prepared, and then I'm going to print with white on top of that. Okay, I have white on here now, and it took me all like 2 minutes to go to the sink, use a rag, wipe this off, and then clean this off down in the sink. It's really quite fast if you're focused. So now I'm going to put white on here, and I'm going to put white all over my block, and then I'm going to take white, I'll do this a little bit closer up so you can see it, and I'm going to do white on top of the black. So I'm going to put this on here, squish it down, even pressure-ish, and peel up, and I get a pretty rad looking texture. And I can certainly play around with like how much ink to use and stuff like that, but I get this really cool texture of black and white on top of there. So you're going to play around with this idea, and then eventually we'll make a series of little like trading cards and things with your prints. So there are the basics. Here we go.